Okay. Oh my goodness. Hold on, guys. Okay. Um, I'm using a different device, so I'm a little more discombobulated than usual when I go live. But I think that's good. Yeah, it's all right. Okay, so let's see if this is gonna work. Oh, okay, okay. Oh no. Okay. Okay. Probably should have done this. Oh my goodness. Is everybody getting here? Oh, that was actually perfect. Okay. And do we have sound? Hmm. Hold on, guys. After last time's fiasco. Oh, okay. Phew. Almost played an ad. Can you imagine getting dinged for copyright for an ad? Welcome to my channel. I'm Fiery Grace the Gifted, my divine masculine Mr. Lightwork, and I post on this channel. He shares love letters from various individuals across the collective. So not every single reading or video should resonate, or that would indicate your divine masculine is going up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, which could be happening, but that's its own kind of explanation, right? There's a story there. So discernment is necessary on this channel because we do serve the global collective. But today, I have decided to check in on an energy that a lot of people have been expressing they are dealing with. And there has been the constant same question. Am I just supposed to walk away? Should I be done? Can I escape this? Or am I just being impatient? Am I missing something? And so I want to look into their energy first. After this, I'm going to do a reading on my second channel, Awakening Divine, and I will link that for you so that you can subscribe to it now. So while I'm getting the cards going and all of that, that is, let me type next reading. Sorry, I'm like typing sideways. Okay. So if you're interested, like I said, if I were you, I would go in and subscribe, because when someone has under 1,000 subscribers, which that channel does not have 1,000 yet, they only show subscribers plus 25 people. So if you can't get into it, it's because there's already 25 people that are not subscribed that are there. So please subscribe if you want to be able to access that video. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bless and shuffle so that we can tap into this energy so that we can understand what appears to be a divine masculine who is either dealing with some toxicity or is just toxic themselves. Um, there's questions about narcissism. There's questions about gaslighting. There's questions about how could someone who does those things be a divine masculine? And I totally understand that. And that's going to be the goal tonight with this reading. And really, more so, the reading on Awakening Divine is going to be examining your relationship with that kind of person from the divine perspective. Like the question I got was, why would divine even allow this? And the question that's often coming with what we're going to focus on in this reading is, why would divine allow me to meet this person and us not get to be together either right away or quickly, or even just in some sort of, normal range of time? So let's go ahead and bless and shuffle and get started. Okay. So immediately I get the slow dreamer. Okay. We have the Knight of Pentacles, we have the Fool or the Dreamer. And I get this slow dreamer. They have a lot of dreams, they have a lot of things that they want to do. However, they don't know how to buckle down. They don't know how to commit to something, let alone honor a commitment. And this is a big overarching energy in their life. It's something they have always dealt with long before they became aware of your connection, long before you catalyzed them into awakening. That is something they've just always experienced. Ace of Pentacles. So we're seeing a pattern here. Now we're asking to zoom in on what? The pentacle in the knight's hands. We need to understand the meaning of it. This person, they believe that the universe has broken a promise to them, a promise that so many of the divine masculines that I'm used to working with and energetically, they don't realize that they have grown bitter about it. Those divine masculines really have no idea how much pain that they are in, not even really because of what's happening right now. They can barely handle their lives right now, interestingly enough. And yet it's really because they've been in a downward spiral for a very long time. I can tell we're on the right track, we're in the right energy. A divine masculine who is either money obsessed, image obsessed, or who they may not be grandiose in it, like I'm going to be the richest person in the world. It may not be that way. Sometimes it's just they have tied their worth in every way to what they can achieve. They have tied their worth to money or to comfort or to the way that they can handle life, which they think is about money and not regulation, emotional growth, accountability. They think all that stuff is just like stuff we're asking for. They don't realize the benefit it would have in their life. Okay, last thing. And justice, but with the number 8, this is karmic justice. So we have 2 pentacles and 2 major arcana cards. And the 2 major arcana cards are 0 and then double 0, because that's what I see with 8, right? You put 2 zeros, attach them to each other, you get that 8, you get that infinity. They are in this loop of seeking justice. They know what's right, but the reason they choose the toxic path or toxic behaviors is because there's a lot of their behaviors are very much laced with vitriol when we're talking about someone who's extremely toxic. But when we're talking about someone who just kind of edges around toxicity, that is someone who they can't help but self-sabotage because they know they're not going to make it. It's not that they're not going to make it, guys, but the path that they're on is the wrong path. Of course, they're not going to make it anywhere. Duh. Okay, so let's see. All right. What do we have here? All right. The Magician. I think that this is the real issue. Unfortunately, this person has been ready. They've been ready for the life they want to live. They've been ready for all the things. Divine has given them everything they need and really more, and so much more time than it actually takes to do a thing. If you know anybody with ADHD or procrastination issues, you know that they might avoid something that takes 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, an hour for weeks or months or even years. And then they finally do it and it's almost shameful, right? And that's what I get from this is a person who it's not even that they can't, but there is something in them where ADHD might be a brain development issue or change or difference. The spiritual issue is what we're talking about. They developed spiritually into a person who chooses toxicity. And many people, especially when we do have our discussion about narcissism, many people who are narcissists just come from narcissists. I know it's not always the case. I understand that, but it is how there has been this kind of explosion even of narcissistic tendencies and traits. Okay. I think that what's sad is that they know they're ready to. And they also know that if they had just chosen something else, probably once a month or once a year or once every few years, they get this realization that if I had just gotten off this path that I'm so committed to, and I don't even know why, probably because it's easy not to really commit to anything on the path, committed to the path of non-committalness, okay. Because of this, there is pain because deep down they can't avoid that truth. They can avoid it with other people, they can lie, they can deny, but they cannot ignore the fact that the whole reason why they feel so much gumption about going after this thing is because they know that they could do it. But there is something going on, like I said, that spiritual development. Interesting, spiritual divergence may be something that we need to explore in the divine masculine collective. And I mean, honestly, that kind of feels like what we're doing. So, what are we missing? Ah, confidence. Now we have 11. And he has the wand in his hand here, but he doesn't have the horse. Well, it's really a unicorn. Oh, and there's that. There's the little infinity. I can't see where, so I don't know if you can see this, but there's that infinity. There's that double zero. And I think that really speaks to how they feel, like a loser. I mean, I don't know if every divine masculine would say that out loud, but has your person ever said something like that? I'm a loser, I'm a failure, I'll never win, I'll never do better, but then also has this other side of them that's got the bravado. They don't have the ability to speak confidently, to balance themselves mentally or emotionally, meaning it's hard for them to process information properly. And they refuse to ask for help because it's embarrassing how much of a quote loser they feel like. So you have someone who is missing the point. The things that are in them are crazy, like wild how powerful these divine masculines really are. It is incredible to see when they do come into a new level, into acceptance, or even into union, how it's like it was there all along, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. But without the belief that it's actually what they're meant to do, truly, they're not going to go forward. And the question is, well, why don't they believe it? Because they believe it should have already happened. And they're really just holding on hope because they woke up. That's it. It's like, all right, I'm still breathing. I guess I have to keep trying because there's nothing else that I want. There's nothing else in my soul I truly desire. I guess I'll just keep going. How many of you have a divine masculine that might kind of be experiencing depression, anxiety, things that they might not tell you, but you can tell because it's like, well, that's how you define these symptoms, right? Or how you define it, and you're dealing with that. I know you don't want to claim it. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Okay. Spiritually speaking, what do we need to know here? We have to understand that these divine masculines experience life feeling very, very vulnerable because of the constant fear inducing experiences. I can kind of tell there's a glare. I can't see the camera all the way, guys. So I'm like trying to make sure you can tell what I'm got here. They want to go fast. I'm getting tortoise in the hair from this. And when the tortoise goes slow, I think that just hurts the divine masculine so bad because again, they already feel like it's too late. So anything that's a slow path, a steady path, even just a challenging path, they're like, hell, I ain't going now. No, no, thank you. But then they keep running so fast that they miss the clear signs that they're running deeper into darkness or hell or pain or suffering. Mm. And sometimes the ground is gone beneath them. You ever seen Wile E. Coyote and he's running so fast he doesn't realize till he's already off the cliff? Kind of still like on the same plane as the cliff, but he's off it. And now the fool makes a lot more sense. This is how they feel as a fool. And it's interesting that I keep getting this sense of them when they were young and how much they hold on to that. And then there's this feeling of youthful, what would you call that? I mean, it really is just the fool. I don't know. There is that is really a good way to put it, actually. They feel like a young fool. And that could explain where they actually let themselves fall for you. They maybe even have engaged with you, and you know what I mean? But at the same time, they often find themselves falling from a very high place and hitting rock bottom, and they can't quite figure out why. It's very interesting that in the beginning I said, if you watch our channel consistently, you're going to have to discern which readings are yours, which I know can be challenging. But if they all resonate, that means your person is bouncing up and down. And then we're seeing like the tip of the tower, the base of the water underneath the tower. We're seeing the up and down right there. And it's like, oh, so they're just going up the tower and back down, up the tower and back down, which tells me that spiritually speaking, because of this dark divergence that they experienced from when they were young or from when they didn't get what they wanted when they wanted it, so they just broke and kind of lost trust in divine completely, it seems like that person has a little bit of trouble giving in to the idea that maybe they misunderstood. Maybe they got it wrong. Maybe there's more to this story. If they were to think that, then that would actually point them back to themselves and how foolish they've been going too fast in circles, doing the same thing over and over again. So that's really a catch-22 for somebody who's trying to avoid this truth. It's interesting because I just looked at this and I realized this magician has the infinity on what maybe looks like his hat, or maybe nope, it's just above his head, I think. But he also has like a halo or something. And there's the 0 and the 8. Kind of makes this look like a sorting hat, which I don't know if they can tell what I'm talking about. But anyways, and it's almost like, wow, as I think about the sorting hat, what a weird thought. Because I really was just seeing the fool and then the double fool, right? Oh my gosh, hold on, I'm really starting to see this now. It's like the 8 is going in and out of this circle, which is a portal in and out of their brain. So they have really been reaping what they've sown with their own karma. It's so bizarre. But with the sorting hat, the hat would be on your head and would kind of talk to you. And it might tell you some things. And it might tell you things that you don't want anybody to know because it can read your mind and all this different stuff. And so it's weird to see that there because it's like, you're ready. And there are parts of you that know that, but there are also parts of you that are desperately afraid to avoid getting what you deserve more and more and more and more because of your toxic choices. Okay. All right, divine masculine. Oh my gosh. Hold on. There's one more, right? And then the storm. And what this tells us, wait, we have the rabbit and the tower. Didn't we see another card? Oh, see, Grace, you gotta pay attention. You're losing. The storm, the weather that created that tower moment, right? That perfect storm that struck the tower just as the person was up there trying to do something that causes them to fall. This is the problem. And what's interesting, again, I can't get away from this magician card, is he's creating the storms. I'm hearing idle work. What is that? Idle hands, idle. It's like, because you won't go do the thing you're supposed to do, you get bored, so you do something else. So divine masculine has been creating storms not even realizing they're just playing with fire. They're just playing with magic. They're toying with the divine gifts that have been given to them because they really don't understand. And because of that, all these storm clouds form around them, and then maybe they float around for a little while, and then they return to sender. They come right back to them. I don't think that they know that this is happening, you guys. Does anybody remember? Let me think. I'm going to pull another card because I don't remember if I did. So we're going to get an extra split, yeah? If I did, I'm like, what card did I possibly forget that quickly? I did. I remember. It's the blue card. Sorry about that. It was the water. Makes me wonder, do they forget? Do they forget every time by the time they get back to the top of the tower? I think that might actually be a part of the toxic behavior, is them not really remembering. And it's probably not because they have a memory issue, guys. It's probably because they've gotten very good at dissociating, detaching, avoiding, so good that they'll believe their own lies if they have to. I mean, all humans can do this, but people who are in a really toxic space do it much worse. There's the turtle. There's the tortoise. It's not a tortoise, but you get it, right? Okay. Wow. The cup. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, because I saw that back there. So we have the cup with the water, which in this deck is kind of how the cups are portrayed. And when we think about the Ace of Cups, there's someone who has to go down into the deep in order to find this cup. Spiritually speaking, that says divine is allowing them to loop and loop and loop-de-loop until they go down there, probably see the cup, right? They probably, every time they get down there, remember, oh yeah, thank goodness my divine feminine taught me how to swim. But instead of realizing that even when you're not there, you're saving them, they still can't do the right thing because of what I think is a toxic level of selfishness. So we're starting to see some patterns with the toxicity. It's kind of giving a little bit of a better picture for us. I think that the hardest part about this is to see that the dark spiritual divergence for them is to avoid love at all costs. They see it as a trap. They see it as worthless, not worth their time or energy. And they see their stuff as way more important than that. Now, this is very important because depending on what level of truth that holds in your person's life, it's one thing if it's just a thought that maybe they don't even know they've internalized. It's another thing if they grab it and run with it for many, 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 many years and then don't even acknowledge that that's what they were doing. Because when it's time for them to go forward with love, they may be in denial about what they have trained their brain to believe and how they have learned specific ways to detach from people to keep people at arm's length. That's rough. You have to be aware, I think, of stuff that's in the 3D that we often ignore, as well as the stuff in the 5D when it comes to making the decision on what is best for you. There is just as much 3D stuff going on as 5D when it comes to the divine masculine, if not more. And one thing, again, that I notice with my clients who get into reconciliation and reunion, and there's a lot of people there right now, is that they have absolutely no idea how to be in a relationship with this person. I'm not talking about the DM, I'm talking about the DF. The DF has spent so much time holding space and doing all the spiritual work, like that's what, we're told to do. And then they get together and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to like look into all the reasons why we couldn't work that were your real problems and your real issues. The spiritual part was actually the easy part." That's saying a lot if you've been on your journey for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Like that was the easy part? Yeah, unfortunately it was. Now, we're using the whiskey deck today. I would like to discern a little bit about how the divine masculine allows their habits. So you're going to see like whiskey related stuff, right? Like alcoholism probably in this. But I think that the real thing we're talking about is how they use their coping strategies to numb rather than to help them become satisfied and at peace enough to be able to move forward. So, what do we need to know? So, okay, hold on. So, we start with the drowning. And this kind of says to me that one of the reasons why they may be so fearful of staying down in the deep of the water after they fall out of the tower, not long enough to see the cup, or maybe the cup down there doesn't have alcohol in it. I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean, right? Like maybe it doesn't have whatever they want to use to cope. So they come right back up. And then maybe there's a shame cycle, right? Oh, I can't believe I was so afraid and I can't believe I was so stupid. And you know what? That was on me. Next time I go to the top of the tower, I'm going to do something else. And it's like, it doesn't matter what you do. Stop climbing the tower. Stop going up there. Every time you go up there, you get struck by lightning. What are you doing? And unfortunately, I think this has stopped them from actually being able to heal. They can't really see a need to look for truth, to look for real answers. I think that for the most part, they're running. It's interesting that, I mean, a lot of these cards are going to kind of talk about what someone's doing to cope, but to see drowning in sorrows, the darkness pulls deeper as light feels farther out of reach. It's like, it really does feel like this is how you know if it's going to be longer than you can really handle in terms of doing separation the way you've been doing it. Have they always seemed like they were drowning? Have they always seemed like they were exhausted by life? Have they always seemed like there's these almost like shadow figures in their world that stop them from being their best? Because remember, they're ready. That's the weird part about all of this for us and for them. They're ready. They have everything they need. They've had everything they need. They've been ready. So if it's always like there's this high of the excitement and I got a plan and this is what I'm going to do, and you'll see, and then the failure comes and it's like, well, what happened this time? And they kind of tell you the thing or an excuse and you're thinking, no, but what really happened? And when it comes down to it, nothing happened. There was really nothing stopping them. No one told them to climb the tower and that's the only path. But I will tell you something. There are certain types of people when they step into that toxic space that will when I say intentionally, it's like underlying intention, okay? Sometimes they really don't know what they're doing, but there's a part of them that does. And they will climb that tower knowing they're going to get struck and fall and have to climb out of the water and do it all again. They will do that so that they can prove, see, I can't succeed. Life won't let me, even though that's not true. Please do like the videos, friends. Let me see. What else is there? Interesting that there's this mask comes off and there's this fairy guiding you into the shadow to heal with love. I think that that might be, oh my gosh, have you ever seen Nuggets? Yeah, the thing is, it's very popular, but only 32 million people have probably watched it, right? Which means most people still haven't seen it. But it's basically talking about what addiction does. If you ever want to see it, just type in Nuggets addiction on YouTube, like chicken nuggets, Nuggets addiction, and it's a little video with a little bird. Please tell me someone has seen that because oh my gosh, it's such a good video. All right, anyway, so this is what I feel. I feel like they believe the lie that the toxic stuff they're doing is going to get them where they're trying to go. And again, if they have a spiritual dark divergence that's caused them to see things backwards, often that dark divergence is not every single part of them is out of line. It's two main wires that get crossed. The way I always explain it, imagine a rainbow. Imagine if red and violet were switched, but everything else was in order. You would look at that rainbow and go, what is happening? That's not even possible. Oh, it might not be possible in the sky. But when we're talking about someone who has been programmed falsely, oh my gosh, I totally forgot I had a whole teaching about that, about the hijacking and the switcheroo that happens to the divine masculine. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's another story. Keep going. One more. And whispers of fear. And there's no hands here. And if you just looked at this person, he might just look like he's just chilling. Hey, I'm just hanging out at the bar. I'm not doing anything. But it's like, no, that's why he has no confidence. That's why he goes to the things that make him feel better, because all these shadows are constantly pulling him down. And all the way that he lives, going into the dark tower, going into the dark in depths of the ocean, living like that creates an environment where it's always dark all the time. And if you've ever been afraid of the dark before, if you remember being young, or if you still have some of those fears even now, you know that feeling that I feel afraid, so my body must be telling me there's someone standing over me right now. There's nobody standing over you though. But your body, it starts to believe it. That's what that fear can do. And so we see somebody who's just kind of frozen in time, but inside them is a terrifying war, a terrifying experience. We'll wait to see this, okay? Well, no, Grace, go ahead and look at it. All right. Chained by pain. The chains of unresolved hurt keep dragging you back to darkness. And I mean, the chain and the cage, silent shame, chained by pain and silent shame. I mean, come on, guys. What you hide from others becomes the weight you carry alone. And so we have some answers already about this. If you are questioning, is this the right thing for me? Should I keep going? How is this draining of my life force and my energy beneficial, like in any way? Like, what's really going on here? Am I testing the spirits? Am I testing divine? Am I pushing it by just sticking around? I think the best way to really know that is, if you were to continue to hold space for this person, would it ever actually matter? And I think that someone who's chained and caged, and who you've spent a lot of time trying to get them out, you do have to make some decisions for you. I get the question, you know? I remind people all the time, and I'll say this now before we do the reading, yeah? Let's say you decide today, I'm done. And you say, I'm going to go climb Mount Everest because I'm done. So you plan the trip, you go on the trip, you do your best to not think about them, you stop watching readings, you disconnect from this thing completely. You go climb Mount Everest, you are about to reach the peak, and you're like, yep, best thing I ever did. This is what I needed. I need to start my life over. If that was the day that divine had said, you're going to be in union today, guess who also a couple weeks before would have probably said, let me go climb Mount Everest? If you're meant to be in union with that person, it will be a crash moment or reconnection. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how far you go. Now, that doesn't mean that you can force it spiritually and try to make it happen or make it happen faster. But that means that you do not have to be afraid if you do choose to separate yourself, to walk away, to detach, do any of the stuff. It's not going to change your destiny. I know that some people don't believe in predetermination, and that's fine. But I will say, if it is just based on the free will of the person, then yeah, you probably should walk away from this. Because what are you going to do? Don't be afraid of what's on the other side, okay? It's very, very beautiful. There's relief, there's peace, there's hope. Don't be afraid of that. They're trying to make you afraid of it. You know that, right? Someone doesn't want you to have whatever freedom is on the other side of this, even if it's just changing perspective and still doing your journey the same way, but a little perspective shift. They don't want that. They want you to feel overwhelmed and have no hope about anything, not just this, about anything. You have to do what you have to do to make sure that they don't bring you all the way down. And I don't just mean them again. I do believe that there are forces. Guess what? Do you guys remember the other day when the video cut out randomly, no one could hear me all out of nowhere, and it could, right. You know what I was trying to say? I was saying that divine feminines, we are meant to light up the world. We are a part of a larger collective of divine light beings. And we, being connected to such important missions, have probably a double dose of attack. And then when we're tied and connected to this kind of person, it's probably a triple, quadruple dose of attack on us because we care and they avoid. They want you so dim that your light cannot infiltrate their darkness. Isn't it interesting that as I was trying to speak to the truth of who we are as a collective, the video just cut out? You know what happened today before I did this reading? A dog food bag that I had delivered for my dog. That is an expensive bag of dog food. The bag is like, I can't even get into it without scissors. And the scissors have to like, you know? Somehow it just happened to rip out in the parking lot when it got delivered. So I spent 30 minutes cleaning out the dog food bag. And then the video didn't want to start and I had to restart the whole thing. I'm just telling you, whenever I come in and try to actually help the feminine collective, stuff happens. And I don't think it's the divine masculines. I think they didn't want me to do this reading, I'll admit it, because I wasn't going to. I was just going to do the Awakening Divine video, but I was like, I need to hang out with my friends for a second before I go over there because it's been a while. I think it's a little bit strange that someone not only doesn't want this to be talked about, but they don't want you to know how important you are. Interesting. All right, so I'm just doing a simple spread here before we go to the other reading, okay? Just going to pull a few cards here. Oh. I'll cover that, yeah? Okay. All right, so first thing you need to know. This person is being called to a balance point, a middle ground. Remember, we had 0 and we had 8. Divine is trying to call them to the center, to center themselves, to ground themselves in the truth of who they are. And they are not willing because of the accountability issues that they have in the physical, not the spirit. I think if the divine masculine could do what they want and still do some things on behalf of divine, they'd be cool with that. They'd be cool being like a single knight. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a knight, I'm a warrior. Yeah, I have no problem. But to tell them, no, you're going to do this with a partner and you're going to have to be accountable. Oh, and there's some things that you're also going to be held accountable for within yourself. Oh, well, never mind. Never mind. I don't want it. Why? Why do they deny that? Because it's too much to think about. It's too much work. It's too many decisions, and they're not good at decisions. They're not good at decisions. Interesting that we talk about balance, and then the Two of Pentacles, which has that guy trying to find his balance between these two choices and can't. This comes up. The divine masculine must make the decision to choose the path that they're supposed to be on. And instead, because that sounds really scary and like committal, that sounds like there's no going back, they avoid it. They go in every other which direction. This is creating a split in them. This is where you could have a conversation with them and be like, I'm talking to my divine masculine right now. But also, you could have a conversation with them and be like, who is this demon? Like, what's happening? That is who they are. They are the emperor. They are also refusing to make choices. And that takes us back to, remember, we have the Two of Pentacles here? That takes us back to the Knight of Pentacles that started this whole reading. Slow dreamer. slow to move on the things that actually matter to them. Now we can kind of see why, because it would require them to make a decision. So instead, they loop and they say, I'll prove it one day, I'll get out of this loop, or I'll prove it, I've been stuck in this loop, there's nothing I can do. That's what they do. What do we need to understand about this overall? Now we kind of have this picture. What is divine trying to tell us? Now, 4 times 2 is 8. And this is explaining to us why they have this karmic um, injustice that seems to be prevalent in their life. It is a lack of self-confidence once again, which means you can't lead if you're not confident, because that's how people are willing to follow a leader. You can't get out of a trap if there's no trap. That's tricky, right? If you tell yourself there's a trap, but there's nothing there, then you can continue to make things up to tell you why you can't leave it. It's what happens on this journey. People get trapped in a certain way of doing the twin flame journey. That's the lowest form, struggle, love, negativity, full toxic, just everything is bad. And they don't realize that is not the only path. I know twin flames all over the world. It is really a spectrum, and the spectrum is actually a spectrum of decisions. Choosing to believe the lie that it's supposed to feel like that for decades, boy, I tell you what, it's painful for me to even be in that energy. That's their life. Come on, ask yourself, dang, is that my life? Do I feel that? Oh, crap. But some of you are like, no, Grace, I've been there. I was there before. I didn't know any better. That's what they told me. It wasn't until I found out more and I started to make decisions that would lead me towards a more peaceful journey, a more peaceful path, a more focused ascension-based path that things changed. Exactly. You realize you're not trapped here. It's the indecision they're trapped in that you allowed yourself to be pulled into. You don't have to sit in that, period. But I think that the fear of taking action is what shows up in the physical. The self-confidence issue is good for them. They can deny that. They can use it to their advantage. Oh, here's why I can't. I don't have the confidence. Oh, here's why I can do anything because I'm the most confident, right? They decide when they want to use that. And then the trap is another thing. If there's an illusion of a trap, then no one's going to see the trap but them, right? And anybody they tell that they're trapped and they explain the trap might go, okay, if you think that's what's happening, okay. But they can also hide it, you know? So the only thing that we're really going to see is someone who will not take action because they will not make a choice. I think that actually might be one of the big answers for this message. If that's the only thing really holding this person back, is a refusal to take action because they're afraid of the consequences. They're more afraid of the negative than they are hopeful for the positive. That is a clear sign that you may need to protect yourself and your future and make sure you don't go into adrenal collapse, economic collapse, spiritual collapse. They are stuck in mud, but they walked into it and they were told, that's a mud field. Don't walk over there when it rains. You won't get out. Now, what? Okay. Saw you coming and they were like, let me go run into this mud field. Mm-mm. You deserve your emperor. I know they're in there, but if they don't want to come out, that's a good first step. Now, if there's a lot of other stuff, if there's a lot of things, if there's a lot of pressure, if there are a lot of divine masculines who, when I talk to the divine feminine, they kind of lay everything out for me. I can kind of say, hey, listen, this and this and this are questionable, but these two things, it actually makes sense that they really, for them to be afraid or that they really can't take action, or really it's like, that's not a decision that's on them. And having those conversations can be so relieving for the divine feminine because it's like, oh, thank goodness, I really thought they just refused to choose me. But sometimes I have a conversation with the divine feminine, they lay it all out, and I go, it looks like every single thing is simply a decision to do something or to not do something. And that's what I'm really referring to here. All right, now, spiritually speaking, what do we need to understand? I mean, should we be surprised that at the core is the Stooge McDuck vault. Okay. What matters to them is that they feel like they are never going to have to worry again. And that's really unfair of them to put onto you. And you might be like, is that what's happening? Well, they think that your belief that the way they're trying to go about doing things, or even your opinion about what it is they're trying to achieve, they think that you're trying to hold them back or something. It's very silly. But you probably have the wisdom to be able to say to them, baby, shit happens. Life happens. There will always be reason to worry, but you can choose to not worry. You can train yourself up to not be a worrier. You can strengthen and fortify yourself and have confidence that no matter what happens in life, you can get through it. Or you can tell yourself that there's a way to avoid all of that. And with the amount of work and time these divine masculines have spent spinning their wheels, going to the top of the tower, falling to the bottom of the ocean, going to the top of the tower, falling to, they could have learned all the traits and skills, all the things that they needed to know. But there's that slow dreamer. We have the knight. Oh, it's so funny because I said they want to be a knight, right? They'd be willing to do that. The knight of swords, the fastest, and we go all the way down the spectrum to the knight of pentacles, the slowest. The knight of swords is the most skilled, the most highly trained. They are powerful. But the knight of pentacles, all the cards have their good and their bad, right? But in this side, this picture that we're looking at right now, the knight of pentacles says, I'm just a farmer who they put some armor on and threw on a horse. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, even in the David and Goliath story, whether you believe in that kind of stuff or not, the idea of David and Goliath is very common, right? And it's like, he was just a little shepherd, but protecting his flock had taught him how to do a lot of stuff. And he used those exact skills to defeat Goliath. It doesn't matter what your small stature is, person, right? It doesn't matter. But they don't believe that. And because that is, I mean, this is actually clearly trauma, right? But because that is their divergence, that is where you and them cannot see eye to eye, is they believe that there's a physical answer to their spiritual and emotional problems, issues, and needs. And you know that there may be some physical answers, but that the best effort and work that they could do is in these other areas that are invisible to them. And that can make you look like an enemy. Oh, goodness. Okay, so what are we missing? Spirit or ether. Interesting. Storms here. Spirit or ether. I think what this says is that their soul, this obsession that they have, whoa. Okay, I know that was my finger, but what the heck just happened? Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. Finish your statement and then look at that. Oh my gosh. Their soul has been darkened. Their understanding of divine is therefore dim. This is a good example. When I was growing up, my dad was really mean and abusive and toxic. And so I did not realize that as I grew up as a cool Christian girl, when everyone would be like, God is our father. And I'd be like, well, my father is very mean and abusive and toxic. So, so that can happen to people, right? So if divine masculine thinks, well, divine is unfair. Well, divine doesn't care about me. Divine doesn't love me. They're going to put all that stuff onto this benevolent force that's actually trying to help them. And they're going to put that onto every single sign, sync. They're going to put every single thing they experience, they question. Okay. Now, what's interesting is, I don't know how that just happened. If anybody wants to rewind and tell me what the hell just happened with that card. But what's interesting is underneath This is a vault, you guys. Like, think about a vault. Think about, it's cold, it's dark, it's hidden, and then underneath it is this rose petals on sheets energy. Sweet, romantic, soft. See, once this stuff gets revealed to you, then they try to hide it by sexualizing it, or just by doing some weird thing in the physical to detract from the sweetness of who they really are. This is what, when you walk into the vault, you think this is all that's in there. Imagine you walk into a room with safety deposit boxes, right? And then they tell you, hold on, none of these are your boxes. And they walk into the room and they walk to the back wall, which is all boxes, right? And they unlock a box right in the middle, and it turns out it's a door. And then behind this wall of boxes, they open the deeper vault where they put the real rich stuff, you know? That is how deep they have hidden their sweetness, their desire for love, their desire for peace, their desire for that. I want you to consider this image. It reminds me of, in the movies, when there's like a romantic moment. Oh my gosh, hold on. Anytime I think about this movie, I almost burst into tears. So me. Do you guys remember Romeo and Juliet? 1996 Romeo and Juliet? Leo and Claire, Romeo and Juliet? Do you remember the part where they're in bed and they're in her room, and it's the covers, they're in the white sheets and the white um curtains, and it's airy, and that is their true dream. That's what that just revealed to me. Their true dream in the deepest part of their vault. Oh my gosh, I don't know why I'm like, I couldn't break it. I couldn't break it. That movie always makes me overwhelmed. Because I'm hearing the music now. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. To know that's what they want, maybe that's also what it's making me emotional, right? To know that someone who presents themselves as this person who has all these dreams, and they're trying to show you these dreams because they think that's what's going to impress you, and they're doing all this stuff, and then it turns out that isn't even what they want. They want what we want, but they're so in denial about it that they hide it in the deepest parts of themselves. And look how light that is. The only light they have coming in here is just enough to shine on the money. It's not even really a good light, you know what I mean? And here it's pure. It's shining off of the petals. Like, that's, oh my gosh. So, okay, what do we need to understand? So we have the colors card. I think that this is telling me that the divine masculine only paints with the colors that suit them, and their life has become so gray and boring. It's making me think about that magician card we saw and how colorful it was. And it's like the only time they feel any excitement is when they are actually starting to use their gifts. And unfortunately, they don't really get that chance very often. And when they do, they're not using it for good. And it always comes back to bite them. And so that would probably make someone say they're even less likely to want that. I think the answer for you here, if you're making this consideration and you're serious, is, if you had to define, okay, hold on, I'm getting two messages. Don't forget that, Grace. If you had to define what this person's tapestry or painting or canvas or whatever, if you're imagining this piece of art that represents them, what color is it right now? What does it really look like? Because I think that the answer here is, it looks like the darkness in the gaps. There's so much more to who they are, but they only want to touch that color. And if they express themselves in the world in the physical that way, then what happens? All people see is the color black. Black is a color, but it's not all the colors of the wind, all the colors of the universe. This says, if this person has a dark cloud that they just won't release, they won't let go of, it might be important for you to consider that part of your reality and what that would mean for you. They're going to come in and paint your whole world black. Have they already done that? Have you painted it back, and made it beautiful again? And then they keep putting the paint, what's happening? Final card, and then we'll get out of here and go to the Divine Awakening reading, okay? Oh, sorry, Awakening Divine. Okay. The weight of lies. The untruths they carry grow heavier with each passing day. What lies does your divine masculine tell you, tell himself, tell others? What lies do you think they believe? What lies have been the most damaging? Why? Hiding behind a facade only deepens the cracks in your soul. Imagine you're trying to keep hidden what you really want, but the cracks only keep getting deeper. What are you going to do? You're going to get more desperate, right? You're going to get more isolated. You're going to push more people away. You're going to avoid even more. You're going to say, see, I knew I shouldn't even have thought about it because just thinking about it, look what happened. Hold on. Rico wants me to let him out, so he's going to start annoying me if I don't. Okay. Gosh. Get out of here. Okay. Now, final card. Really quick, let me just make sure. What do you need to know as you make your decisions here? Whenever you might find this reading, even if you're not watching it live. Mother's absence. Her love, a void that no amount of whiskey can fill. And what that really tells me is we were right on the head, you guys. We were right, nail on the head, as they say. The divine masculine's issues stem from long before. And I don't think it's just mom. I don't think it's even just about feminine. I don't think it's just about childhood. I think it's all these different things of my spiritual divergence caused me to see things a certain way. The lies I tell myself that take away my confidence and make me afraid. All of these things come together to create the perfect storm. And that's the lightning over and over and over and over again. That's why the divine masculine cannot really escape this toxic loop. And you have to ask yourself, first of all, am I aware of issues with mom? Am I aware of issues with feminine energy? Am I aware of issues with exes or the mother of their child? Am I aware of issues with them and women in general? A person who is in denial, running in circles, and painting their world dark, would you tell your child to go be with that person? Would you want your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your best friend to be in your situation? That's, I think, going to be how you measure, how you weigh, how you make your decision. I think that this is going to resonate for divine feminines on a personal level, where a lot of people go, am I the divine masculine? Well, not necessarily. It may actually be that they have caught you in their loop. Whether you went in intentionally, whether you had no idea that was what was happening, or even if the energy is just around you and you don't realize it, it is going to be very important for you to free yourself from it, okay? So that you don't have to worry about whether or not you get lost in the energy that they're not even supposed to be in anymore. That's the real danger of going into their dark night energy is, oh, wow, the dark night. Sometimes I want to spell it that way. Dark night with a K, because I do have a feeling that that's how they actually come across. But yeah, sometimes when you go into their dark night, they start to travel through that energy. And if they go the right direction, maybe they leave it, right? But if you're lost in someone else's dark night, you don't know how to navigate that. And you're probably not thinking that they left. You think they're somewhere in there. So be cautious. All right, friends, if this has resonated with you, I hope that I can help. Okay. I hope that this has given you some insight. If you need to go deeper, if you need to talk things through and say, Grace, I want to lay it out for you. What do you think? Let me know. Obviously, we've got Black Friday specials going on right now, some awesome sales on my website. I can't actually tell if you can see this or not, so I'm hoping it's showing up. thefierygrace.com. You can check the links in the description or in the comments. And now we're going to go over to Awakening Divine. Hopefully, yes, there's the link. So we're going to go over now. Let me go ahead and start that live. So if you want to join me, and if you for some reason cannot get into the reading, it's because there's already 25 people who have not subscribed. Click subscribe and it should let you in or show it to you. I don't really know how YouTube actually gauges that, to be honest, but we're going to go and get that started, okay? So put this in here. Put this in here. Close that. And see you in a minute. Let's go here.